Now,
Yeah.
also in the book, you didn't cover infestation, as that's not one of the levels. That's just a different category.
Oh, actually, I do. Actually, I do cover the book. I do
In the
cover
book, you do, but
infestation.
you didn't mention it
Yeah.
just now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the six areas that we talked about are those are that affect human beings, and then
Okay,
infestation is what
gotcha.
actually affects animals or buildings, or various forms of property. And so they can be infested. There's been several houses I've had to clean up. There's been two buildings that I've been in where there were that was literally palatable. You would be physically attacked by these things that were in the building, and so they can infest buildings. Usually, it's because there's been some particular evil that's occurred there. Although a lot of times people say, "Well, our house is infested," and then it's really not the house. About 80% of the time, it's actually somebody in the house is doing something, or the demon's attached to them, and then he's just kind of showing himself externally. So you clean up the people, and then the stuff in the house stops. But once in a while, it is something in the house, and so you clean that up, and then things just return back to normal. They can also, we saw this in scripture, they can infest animals, so we saw that in relationship to pigs. They can attack animals. There was one house that I had to exercise. It's actually the most difficult case, diabolic case I ever dealt with, even more so than any kind of case involving a human being. And it was a demon that was in a house. It was brutal. It was a 1 year knockdown drag out to get this guy out of that house.
Hmm.
But the first indicator was um, the people moved into the house and their dog immediately got sick. So I was blessing the house, but I just sprinkled the dog, and the dog yells that's out this yelp, and then the next day it's perfectly fine. It has no health issues, and then that was one of the first indicators that there was something in the house. So it took us a little while to kind of sort out what this. It was a demon of illness, but so they can get into houses, they can infest animals, they can afflict animals, and they can also be attached to objects. One of the things that you'll see from time to time, you can actually watch it right on YouTube, is you'll have people that say, "Oh, well, if the demons, if they possess the item, they're locked in the item, and then that way if you just keep the item, and then that way they can't influence other people." It's the exact opposite.
Yeah, that
If they
sounds like a bad
influence,
idea.
yeah, well, and I'm thinking of Ed and Warren Carroll, right? Who, or Carroll and Warren, what is their name again? Warren is their last name. But they have this museum, right? And they've got this doll there that's infested, and they're just like, oh, and they tell people, and I've heard other exorcists say this, which is just absurd. Well, as long as they're possessing this thing, the demon's locked into it. No, no, no. It's the inversion of a Catholic sacramental. It's like if we bless a miraculous metal and then put it on a particular property, it has a spiritual impact on the property. It's the same thing with this stuff. As long as that item is intact, the demon's empowered to use it to influence people around it. And so that's why you have to destroy the object in a very specific way. And then once it's done, then the demon loses the power. So, but anyway, but they can infest objects
Okay.
as well.